The room was quiet that night, but something in the air had shifted. I remember the way he looked at me, not with rage, not with confusion, but with something far more piercing. Like the breath had been pulled from his chest. A kind of heartbreak that sits behind the eyes, where words don't reach. He had just stumbled onto an old email. A forgotten thread from years ago. It wasn't hidden, just tucked away in a folder I never thought anyone would open. He found it while trying to fix the printer. One wrong click, and everything we had unraveled in a matter of seconds. He didn't call my name. Didn't ask what it meant. He simply whispered, "How long?" His hand was still resting on the mouse, motionless, but his face had gone completely blank. His eyes were hollow. That's what broke me. Not yelling. Not accusations. Just that emptiness. When someone you love begins to fall apart, it starts in the eyes. I said his name, just once, and he recoiled like my voice hurt. He didn't scream. Didn't slam doors. He just stood there, then turned and quietly closed the door behind him like the silence needed protecting. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then he hasn't touched me. Barely spoken to me. He hasn't used my name once. And today, he told me he's filing for divorce. But I need to tell my version. Not what that email hinted at. Not the fragmented story he pieced together. The whole truth. It began 4 years ago. We had just moved into a beautiful new home. Bigger rooms, quieter streets. A kitchen I once dreamed of. It should have felt like success. Like we had made it. But instead, it felt like we were pretending to be people we weren't. The house was too neat, too still, like we'd walked into a stranger's life. Nathan was consumed by work. His company was growing fast, and he was flying out often, sometimes for weeks. The days became long, and the nights even longer. We stopped eating meals together. Stopped talking about anything real. I didn't set out to betray him. It started with the kind of loneliness that doesn't show up in photos. The kind that sneaks in when the silence stretches too far. I'd taken on a freelance design job to fill the space. That's where I met Adam. We only worked together for 6 months. I never dressed differently. I never went looking for anything. But he saw me. He asked about my day. He remembered my favorite coffee spot. He noticed my handwriting and told me it was beautiful. That moment still lingers, because no one had said something kind and personal to me in so long. Nathan hadn't even looked at me like that in years. One night after a late meeting, Adam asked if I wanted to grab a drink. I should have said no. I didn't. I said just one. That one turned into a few. We talked, and I let my guard down. When he told me I seemed lonely, I broke down right there at the table. He didn't touch me. He didn't make a move. He just sat with me. That was the beginning. It wasn't physical at first. It was conversations, text messages, moments where I felt seen. I knew it was wrong. Every time I looked at my children's drawings on the fridge, I felt the weight of it. But I couldn't pull away. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. The affair lasted 7 months. And then one morning, I ended it. There was no big moment. No confrontation. I just woke up and realized I wanted my marriage again. I missed my husband. I missed our life. I cut all contact with Adam. Changed my number. Deleted the apps. Erased the accounts. I buried that part of myself, believing I'd left it behind for good. Things got better. Nathan and I slowly found each other again. We started eating dinner together. We took a short trip away. We made love on a quiet weekday morning, and it felt like hope. Fragile, but real. I thought I could live with the secret. Not because I wanted to hide forever, but because I didn't want to destroy what we had rebuilt. I didn't want my kids growing up with 2 homes, 2 birthdays, and that look in their father's eyes. But that email, one thank you message, was still buried in a folder from years ago. And with one accidental click, it all came undone. He doesn't yell. He doesn't curse me. But he says he can't unsee it. That when he closes his eyes, he hears the words. He imagines the version of me I was during those months. He wonders if he was ever enough. If our children were enough. I told him they were. I told him he was. But he doesn't believe it matters. He said the version of me he loved, the woman he built a life with, died when I let someone else in. And maybe he's right. Maybe I did kill her. He says he doesn't hate me, but he can't sleep next to me anymore. He can't look at our wedding photos or hear my laugh without wondering what parts were real. I begged him to let me explain, to hear the entire story, but he said no. He doesn't want the details. He just wants to leave. And now I'm here, in this room that used to be ours. The air feels heavy. The photos on the wall seem like memories borrowed from someone else's life. I look at our honeymoon picture, us laughing soaked in the rain. I look at the handwritten note he gave me when our daughter was born. And I wonder, does one terrible decision erase all of that? I don't know. All I know is I loved him. I love him still. But sometimes love doesn't arrive in time. Sometimes it can't survive the silence. And sometimes, all that's left of a life together is a door closed softly, a look you'll never forget, and the sound of a printer that never got fixed.